Hello, and very warm welcome to this webinar from Grazitti Interactive on driving growth through AI-powered marketing analytics. We are very excited to have you here, and very good morning to folks who are joining from the US. Good evening to folks from India, and warm welcome to all of you. So let's get started with the webinar. We have a lot to discuss today, and in order to discuss that, we have a really prestigious person with us. So if I walk you through the speakers, so we have David Edelman joining us. He is former CMO at Aetna and senior marketing lecturer at Harvard Business School. He comes with around 30 plus years of experience in marketing. And it's a delight, a pleasure, and a privilege to have David on this webinar here with us. So very warm welcome to you, David.
Thank you, Lovish. It's terrific to be here. I'm excited to share what we're going to be seeing.
Great. So this is Lovish Verma. I am lead data engineer analytics at Grazitti Interactive. I have around 8 years of experience in data science, data engineering, and AI solutions. So let's quickly go through about Grazitti. So Grazitti actually helps transforming businesses and enterprises in the AI-powered solutions. We support around 500 plus customers, including Fortune 500 companies across multiple domains such as marketing, sales, analytics, marketing automation, communities, and customer support. This is what we are going to discuss in today's webinar. So unleashing the power of marketing analytics. We're going to talk a lot about marketing analytics, how to do it right, how to get the maximum benefit out of this. Then we're going to talk about how an omni-channel analytics dashboard looks like for better decision making, and how can you get the maximum out of your marketing analytics reporting. Over top of it, how AI can be implemented at multiple places, not at the start, not at the end, but across multiple places in your marketing analytics pipelines or architecture. We're also going to take an example of how AI and ML systems can be implemented in an automated way to get the maximum out of your marketing data, which you already have, in the form of a market mix model. It would be followed by a Q&A session. So let's get started. David, I'll talk. I want to understand from you. You have such a vast experience. You have worked with multiple folks at multiple experience levels. You are now teaching young marketers at Harvard Business School, and you have also worked at CMO at Aetna. So, what according to you pops up into a marketer's mind, one way or the other, that is an essential part of the job?
Yeah. So marketers right now are facing just an overwhelming amount of complexity. They have all of these different channels, more seem to pop up all the time. And most of them have separate systems by which you manage the execution in those channels, you get data back from those channels. Everything is quite fragmented. But from a marketer's perspective, they want to get a much more integrated picture of how they can best achieve their goals, how to allocate budget, what's actually happening in the moment, what are decisions that they could make to move money around, to change creative. They want to get tests out the door because they may not have all the answers, and they want to be able to manage coordinated tests. And all of these channels have different cost structures. They lead to different conversion rates, some of them leading to different qualities of leads if it's B2B and going into the sales force. And it's really hard to compare apples to apples. And marketers are really struggling with that because the complexity is just so overwhelming. And one of the senses I've gotten, Lovish, in the way you guys have been working with clients is to try to help cut through that complexity by thinking about the core data underlying this and finding ways to bring that data together, to make it useful, to build dashboards and analytics on that. I find that incredibly helpful, and it's going to be valuable. So I'd like to hear more about how you guys are approaching this. and especially how it's not just a question of throwing a tool on top of things, how you guys dig down into the data and start working with it to make it more useful.
Definitely. So, as you rightly said, we have so many systems where data is residing. And before starting any analytics solution or AI implementation anywhere, we have to understand what is happening. So this is how a typical AI-powered analytics workflow looks like. It starts with understanding the problem statement. You have to understand what is the business use case, what is business trying to achieve, what is the definition of the goal which the business is trying to achieve, what are different processes which they have at their place, and the timelines of this entire project which they want to implement. This is really, really important, and the business must have an absolute clarity on this part. So once this is done, then the next step is understanding the data. You have to understand what are the data attributes and the relationship between different data points, where all the data is residing. How can you join those data points together? What is going to be the relationship, what is going to be the volume of the data which you're going to get from all the different sources, and what is going to be the data quality, because that's really, really important. If the data is not of good quality, then you would face difficulties down the line, of course. And in practical scenarios, that's always the case. The data, of course, needs some or the other tuning. And that is where next part comes. This is the data preparation part, where we identify that what is the data, if there is any missing data, where is it? Does the data need any cleansing, or any sort of transformations are required in the data? Finally, you go to the reduction of the data, where what it means is you change the data, transform the data into in a way that it can be used by any downstream task. So what are those downstream tasks? Those could be descriptive analytics, just seeing what is happening, or an interactive dashboard where you can click and see what is happening, slice and dice it, go deeper into different aspects of your data. It could also be in the form of machine learning and AI solutions such as predictive analytics, which is statistical side of the word, or AI systems such as chatbots, generative AI systems, or diffusion models for content creation. There are lots of options. So once this entire flow is decided or executed, that enables marketers to see what is happening inside the entire marketing vertical. What are different data sources, how they are performing, what are the different channels, how are different channels performing, getting all this data together to make actionable insights. So yeah, this is how it looks like today.
Yeah, and what I like about this, Lovish, is actually starting with understanding what we want to measure. So for example, if a marketer is looking to maximize or reduce cost per lead or maximize the volumes of leads, okay, that's just starting with leads. But let's say we want to get into quality of leads that are actually going to get sales to be able to make a call. Are we going to take it down to conversions? Are we going to take it down to actual profitability of the accounts? As you go down that, you're adding more systems, more data, you're actually creating different kinds of models, and you need to understand that up front. You can't just simply say, oh, I want to get a picture of what all my channels are doing. Well, towards what goal? Especially when you're starting to build models that are driving towards specific goals, you have to be able to articulate your goal. So it starts with that and getting that use case very clear, and then working through the data. Otherwise, you're just swimming in endless number of possibilities, working with all different data. So I applaud the desire to get focus and then build down on the focus. So is there an example of a client that where you've worked with this and you've done it?
Yeah, yes, we have implemented marketing analytics for one of a B2B customer, and this is how it looks like. So the client had channels, marketing channels across different type of marketing channels. So there were paid social media channels where they were spending their marketing dollar. There were search advertisement, there were email marketing, and there were often events also happening where some marketing dollar was spent. Right. So with so many channels, data management was a big issue for the client. getting entire data, all of these data at a single place was very difficult for the client. The client was not able to understand how the campaigns and the channels are performing in tandem, and of course in silos also, because the data was residing in so many different places. Changing customer behaviors, they were getting this information at a very late stage or a delayed rate, compared to a better marketing solution where you get it, at click of a button. So measuring ROI, of course, was a very big challenge for the client. And at an overall level, what is the contribution of the marketing efforts to the revenue of the organization? So multiple challenges were being faced by the client, and we helped the client with solutions such as AI-assisted automated data pipeline, which would get the entire data at a single place, a centralized data warehouse, as an example. So interactive omni-channel dashboard was created for the client. And as an additional, I could say, cherry on the top, so how the marketing budget should be allocated, right? So most optimized allocation of marketing budget was given as a solution to the client. So at an overall level, this provided a 360 view of marketing activities to the marketers, what is happening on the ground, how different channels are performing. They were able to come up with better marketing strategies, and their ROI was optimized by 20%.
So let's get in. Okay, so this is on the surface. Let's get into the details of what actually happened here. I mean, at the risk of getting too technical, I think it's important for us to understand, this concept of AI-assisted automated data pipelines. Wow, that's a lot of words. How does that actually translate into something we can understand? How does that actual flow? Can you give us an example of what that tangibly means?
Yeah, sure. So this is how end-to-end marketing analytics workflow looks like. It starts with the data sources, which you see on the left side here. It starts with the data sources. Now, here is the point where you understand where all data is residing. Are you getting data from your marketing automation platform, CRM platform, Google Analytics, or Web Analytics platform? So in this specific case, the client had Marketo, Salesforce, Google Analytics, Google Ads, Twitter or X, LinkedIn and Facebook as different marketing channels where they were spending some marketing money. It could be HubSpot, it could be Dynamics, it could be any platform. But here in this specific case, we had these platforms which we used. Now, data was fetched or extracted from all these platforms using data pipelines, which were automated. And this is that ETL layer which you see, getting data from different platforms using automated data pipelines. And once this step was completed, the data was then stored into a centralized data warehouse. In this case, it was Snowflake. It could be anything based on the client's preference. So in our specific use case, it was Snowflake. Once the data is coming from all your different data sources into a central data warehouse, then it's easy to use this data for any purposes. So here it was used for BI in form of a really nice Tableau dashboard, which gave a very interactive way, in a very interactive way, provided the information about how different KPIs are performing across your marketing vertical. So additionally, where are the AI components coming up in this workflow? So the first component was in the ETL block. You have data pipelines created which would fetch data from different sources. But what if one of your data pipeline fails? You would either miss out on the data, latest data from that data source, or your entire system is going to break. So that's why a solution was implemented here, which will check in real time what is the data flow happening from all the different data sources, and based on historical behavior of failure, a given channel, given pipeline failing, what are the chances of another pipeline failing or the similar pipeline failing? So this is what was implemented in the ETL layer. And on the data warehouse side also, there is an AI component which was added, which would check the quality of the data which you're getting from all the different sources. Are you having so many missing values, or the data should be in this range only, but it's kind of outlier, looks like an outlier, or should not be there, something like that. And also enhancing the data, so enriching the data based on certain rules. This solution was also implemented into the data warehousing block here.
Yeah, so what I really like about this is you're not just using AI on top to analyze the data. We'll get to that. I know we're going to talk about that. But we're actually using AI upstream to, as you said, enhance the data, to analyze what's actually going on with the data that's coming in, to optimize how we think about the different pipelines, and to do this all in an automated way. And that concept of enhance, analyze, automate, optimize, I always think of those four as the key things that AI does. Well, actually, I think we're going to come back to that later when we talk about using AI for modeling. But it's important here to see how you can use AI to get the data together in order to do AI to analyze it and use it. So it's thinking really holistically about applying that across this whole process of getting the data ready. So then you say you got it into Tableau. So I'd love to see, like, as a marketer, as the CMO, what would I actually see?
Sure, yeah. So I have a really interesting dashboarding report here. We call it Omni-channel Marketing Analytics Report. And the landing page of it is called CMO Insights. This is the most important information which a CMO would like to see. You have on the left side a really nice marketing funnel, which is giving you information about all the inquiries, NQLs, basically how the marketing funnel looks like, from marketing automation platforms to CRM platforms. What are your SALs and SQLs, and what are the customers which finally closed? You have a bunch of information about leads, opportunities, customers, and social paid media spending and their performance, and Google Analytics itself. So if I go into the components of this, you have an information about how different channels are performing. So this is a very nice example and decision-making example of how different channels are performing. So see here, you have information about all the different channels which are there. Of course, this data is for representation purposes. And here you have information from different marketing channels for MALs, MQLs, their conversion percentage, SALs and SQLs, their conversion percentage, and finally close won percentage. Getting this data from marketing automation systems and CRM systems and joining them together, enable to see this is I would say a really nice to have. On top of it, you have certain examples of how the funnel looks like. So here you can see that online advertising is bringing around 25% of your MALs, right? But if you go further down, the percentage of revenue from online advertisement is 16% only. Similarly, you have search marketing, which is bringing almost like 55% of your total MALs, but the contribution to revenue is actually only around 24%. So this is a really nice way to see how your different channels are performing, which channel is good, which channel has a scope of improvement. If I also talk about go one level deeper into campaigns, here you have list of all the campaigns which have been run, and you also have similar analysis of MALs and MQLs and SALs and SQLs. A very nice way of looking at this would be if I want to see which campaign is bringing me the highest number of MQLs. So I can sort it and see that, okay, Unleash Your Power is a campaign which is bringing me the highest number of MQLs, but the conversion to SALs and SQLs is not that high, right? And the closed won scenarios is also not that high. Similarly, if I just look at the revenue, which campaign has given me the highest revenue here? Again, you have that campaign, you have the information about the MQLs and the SALs and SQL conversion. And although the closed won number is lesser here, but the revenue is really high. That means these are really good quality leads which were generated from this campaign, were able to close and generated this revenue. So this is again a very nice information to have to see about which campaign is performing well and which campaign is not. So I'll quickly go to maybe one or two other types of dashboards and then we can move to the next section. Maybe let me pick up the leads one. You have information how the leads have been generated over time. In a really nice trend line. You have leads by sources, which source is providing you highest number of leads compared to others. You have the entry point of leads also, which source or which at which point how many leads enter into the system, and the activities which are performed by different leads. You have like send email or open email, multiple email activities, whatever activities are defined in the system. You have a really nice information about how the trend has been there. If we talk about maybe social media platform, so this is social paid media analysis. It's giving you information about all the sources, all the social media sources where marketing dollar has been spent. So you have information such as spends, impressions, clicks, and the trends of all these three KPIs. So you have how clicks have been, how the impressions have been, how the spends have been. One interesting thing to note here is that all these different channels have different ways of storing data, different KPIs to track, and seeing all those KPIs in a concise way in a single screen is really powerful to see and then to make decisions. So, yeah.
Lovish, let me just jump in here because this directly addresses one of the key things I was talking about earlier, which is marketers' frustration with all the fragmentation of the different data sources and not being able to see it all in a way where you can make decisions about how to put together a budget in the first place, how to move money around, how to make changes in the nature of what you're doing. What you're doing here is you're helping marketers essentially act like a Wall Street hedge fund trader, where on a single pane of glass, you can actually see all the investments. You know, a hedge fund has all kinds of investments, you know, everything from equities to real estate to loans, all kinds of things. And looking at those in an integrated way is absolutely critical for how they manage on a day-to-day basis, because they have such a disparate range of places where they put their money. Marketers do that too. And so here we've got something that can allow you to put together that and get that integrated view and force some hard decisions. You know, sit with your team, all of whom may be each focused on a specific channel, and say, wait, you know, social's not pulling the way search is. We got to move money around. Maybe we should do more organic. And you can make these decisions, put them in action, and then see what happens. So I know we're going to start getting into how you build models off of this too, but even just simply making all of this available is a big step forward. And it does take getting down into the dirt of the data to make that work.
Definitely, yeah, totally agree to that point. And yeah, I think I just have one more thing to talk about, which is the Google Analytics dashboard. It gives you really nice information about where the traffic is coming from, how many number of users, sessions, page view, all the important KPIs for web analytics insights. Yeah, so this is I think really powerful for a marketer, and gives a holistic view of how your data is behaving, how your channels, campaigns are performing.
Yeah, so as we look at this, we're starting to see how to bring data together. And in fact, you were using AI to pull this data together. Mm-hmm. I think that the next step is using all of this data to then create AI models that can tell you how to move money around, how to think about budgeting. And when I think about the kinds of things that AI does to empower marketers, we're using AI more and more to understand what's happening in all of our different channels with all of our customers at an increasingly granular level. And so if I come back to the four things I was talking about before, how AI helps you enhance your data. So for example, using natural language processing to get data out of social listening channels and sentiment analysis. That creates data that you didn't have before. You can analyze that data to come up with new kinds of segmentation, new ways of thinking about triggers that might help you understand who might be in the market at a given time. You can use AI from a generative AI perspective to start creating variations on content, different kinds of copy, different kinds of images, increasingly tuned to to match the profile of different customers you have. So you come up with a concept, you use generative AI to say, give me 10 variations of this. And then you can use the AI to actually set up how to test those different ones. And so you get to the fourth thing, which is optimizing. So actually creating models that can help you predict how to spend money, how to set up tests. So that notion of enhance, analyze, automate, optimize, those are all things that AI is enabling marketers to do. And you're showing us good examples of that. I'm curious specifically, though, from an optimization and a model development, what you were showing us before in terms of those Tableau dashboards, the question absolutely on my mind would be, use AI to help me figure out how to move that money around. So are you doing that now, Lovish?
Exactly. Yeah, we are doing that. So we have used this entire data from the client, from all the different sources, and then created a market mix model for the client. So first things first, let's discuss what is a market mix model. So it's a highly resilient statistical analysis, data-driven statistical analysis, which which tries to understand what are the impacts of various triggers, whether it's internal or external variable factors on the performance of the business. So the target variable or the KPI which we want to track is could be sales, profits, revenue, MQLs, or anything which the business feels that they want to understand how different how different channels where we have spent some money or factors which are out of our control are impacting the KPI. So here, if you can see, the target variable is a function of multiple things. Could be paid media, where Facebook, Insta, or Twitter, or LinkedIn, Medium, wherever you're spending your money on social media channels. Could be offline marketing, whether it's print, radio, banner ads, something like that. The amount of investment which goes into events, that could be one factor, and some other factors such as pricing or market conditions or seasonality. So if you want to understand how different factors are influencing your target variable, right? So that's where market mix modeling gives you a really detailed understanding. And some of the outcomes from the market mix model is you understand what is the effectiveness of different marketing channels, what is the ROI from each of my marketing channel, what are the drivers of most important metrics, some information about a channel's saturation and the ad stock, performance of different campaigns can be analyzed, the sensitivity of your price, how price varies compared to how change in price would affect your sales, your revenue, or your profit. All these things can be analyzed as an outcome from market mix model. This is what helps you in understanding the performance of your ongoing efforts. On the other side, which is the futuristic side, where you understand how things are going to look like if I do this, if I do that. So that is where you have simulations of future scenarios, or you get a most optimal allocation of the marketing budget across different channels for different time periods. So these are some of the things which we derived for the client which we are talking about, using the data which was residing in so many places. So that is about market mix model. I also have the architecture or the flow of how a typical solution looks like, a typical AI solution looks like. So let me move to that. Yeah. So on the left side, you can see here, you have data coming in from multiple sources into a central data warehouse. This is what we saw earlier also, till the third point, which is the central data warehousing. That data was extracted from the data warehouse and was given into a modeling layer, which is the market mix modeling. So some people call it market mix modeling, MMM. Some people call it MMX. So we are referring to it as MMX here. And once the statistical analysis is done, where we are fine with how the models are performing, which is the best model to understand the variation in my dependent variable as a factor of the independent variables. We get a bunch of information from this analysis. So you can see return on investment, saturation and ad stock, sensitivity, marketing channels effectiveness or campaign performance. Also, once you get this information was then sent back to the central data warehouse to be utilized in a really nice interactive dashboard where marketers can see different scenarios of future, how things are going to look like, what should be my most optimal allocation of budget, marketing budget, in order to achieve certain things.
So before you go and show us an example of how you actually play around with it, one of the things that I like about MX and the modeling side is, a lot of marketers are caught up on attribution and trying to directly tie individual channels to spend. But you have all these complications of last touch attribution, multi-touch attribution, and it's hard to understand how things fit together and how to look across, because there are cross effects. The thing that modeling does, even though it's not a clean attribution, it uses the data and the constant variations in data that you have to give you a sense of how things fit together, where you're hitting saturation, where things work best in synergy. Those are powerful things to marketers. And I just get the sense in general, especially as we're also seeing things like cookie deprecation, it's getting harder to do clean attribution, and we're relying more on mixed modeling. And so using AI to really push that forward just seems like a natural next step. So I'm curious to see, Lovish, how this actually looks in terms of the tools you give marketers.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So yeah, so the dashboard, the omnichannel analytics dashboard, which you saw earlier. So this information was added to this dashboard report directly in the form of a really nice interactive way. So what you can see here, you have different values here. You have monthly budget allocations and the incremental ROI. You have the saturation of your channels. You have ad stock effects also of each of your marketing channels. So I'll cover each of these in detail. So this is how a marketer would use this. So let's say you start with a marketing budget of $1 million, and this marketing budget would then be split across all these different channels which you have. So it could be channel 1, 2, 3, all whichever channel you have. So here are 6 channels which you see, and you see the allocation of marketing budget. So 129,000 would be allocated to channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, and so on. You also see information about incremental ROI. Any additional dollar which you invest into a given channel is going to give you 2.6x ROI, return on your investment, versus some other channel where it could be negative of 1.1. Basically, kind of you're losing out money on this because of the reasons which we are going to discuss further. You also get a nice information that your marketing channels are undersaturated. Try to increase your marketing budget for better optimization. Now you also have options like, hey, what if I invest instead of 1 million, because I have to definitely increase my marketing budget to let's say some other amount. So if we look at 2 million, how things would change. Okay, I think it's Moore's law working in real time. Something has gone off here, but surely this definitely changes the values of different marketing budgets which you have across different channels. But still, your channels are undersaturated because you are getting this message. Now, if you increase it further, right, you see that the values change again. But now you have some budget left here. You have around $500,000 left with you, which because all of your marketing channels are saturated, and you have some budget left with you, which you can use to invest in other marketing activities. Could be in the form of other collaterals, could be in the form of other creatives, could be a new marketing channel which you're trying to explore. So this really gives you an information about how my marketing channels are going to look like, what is the most optimal allocation of marketing budget at a monthly level. So this exercise was done for a quarterly at a quarterly interval. Basically, this will give you information about how you should spend right now. Looking at in present moment, how should your budget be allocated across different months? So month 1, month 2, month 3 of the quarter. So additionally, you have information about saturation. Here you have you can change the saturation level. What saturation of a marketing channel essentially means is that you're trying to put more and more money into a given channel, but it is not giving you the delta of change, or the impact which is giving is very less. You're trying to increase the marketing budget in a given channel, but the effect which we are seeing, which we are trying to analyze, is not changing that much. So here in this specific case, we were trying to understand how revenue is getting impacted because of different marketing activities and different marketing spendings in different marketing channels. So the change in revenue because of changing the money or the allocation of budget in a given channel was not impacting that much. So this was this you can change around the saturation level, that this is what I want to see with respect to saturation level of a given channel. Here is a really nice example, maybe in channel number 5. I think, yeah, in channel number 5, you have the client actually had spent lots and lots of money, which you can see, but the saturation already reached at $15,000. So this means that he or she should not put more money into this channel at this saturation level, right? But when we look at all the channels in tandem in a single at a single place, we see that we should only invest this much money into a given marketing channel in order to achieve the maximum benefits out of this all the marketing channels. Yeah, so this is also another reason why you see lesser ROI, or kind of a negative ROI, incremental ROI from some channels, because you have put too much money into a channel without giving those many returns in turns. So this is one level of analysis which you get out of market mix modeling. Another one would be ad stock effect. You invest some money in a given channel, let's say today or this month. The effect of the activities or that channel where you have allocated some marketing budget will be carried over to the next period, to the next month in this example. So on month 1, you have around 100% of your effect which you wanted to achieve. The effect in this case is increase in revenue. So you were able to achieve that here 100%, but in month 2, you see some channels are only having around 6% of ad stock effect, while some channels had really high, really good ad stock effect, which is around 35%, which means some channels are really, really good, and you have to spend lesser money in order to get same amount of effect. So this is where we have, you can change the months also. If you look at month 2, then you definitely need to decrease the marketing allocation, because you are achieving the same effects from given investment. So here earlier you were seeing that at $3 million you were reaching saturation, but in month 2 you are reaching saturation at around $1 million also, because your channels have a very good, some of your channels have a very good ad stock effect. So on and on, I think this is really powerful analysis where you can see that, hey, right now, standing at in the present moment, what should be the allocation of my marketing budget, in month 2, month 3. This will help the marketers to plan their marketing activities, allocate their budgets in real time. For future scenarios also. This is also giving you multiple scenarios about future, that if I invest this much dollar or this much money into my different marketing channels, how the allocation should be, how the allocation would be, and you can of course change the months, and this analysis can be repeated again and again, as you refresh the model. So yeah,
I mean, this brings to light concepts like diminishing returns. As you keep investing in a channel, you eventually get diminishing returns and saturation. The ad stock effect in terms of carrying over. These are all things we know in our gut happen in marketing, but a lot of it's gut. And here you can actually get some hardcore data, which is really powerful to shed light on this so that you can understand what happens as you move money around. But I have a feeling, Lovish, it's not just a question of just, okay, Grazitti comes in and this happens. There's things that your clients actually have to do and keep in mind to make something like this possible. What have you seen from your experience are the keys to success if a client wants to start building these capabilities?
Yeah, I would say that first and most important thing is that clients have to understand that this is AI, not magic. Things will not happen with a single click. There is, as you have seen earlier also, there are lots of efforts which go into getting this entire data, wherever your data is residing, right? Getting this data into a system, a structure where it can be used by the AI systems. So that would be, I think, the most important things. But second most important thing, or as per this slide, right, choosing the most impactful KPI. That is the central idea. You have to be really, really sure about what is the KPI which you want to track, which you want to see, which is changing over time because of your efforts across different marketing channels, campaigns, tactics, all of that, right? So this is really, really important to fix the most important KPI. Another thing would be...
I'm sorry to interrupt, Lovish. That's because the AI seeks a goal. It needs to have a goal that it is driving towards as it optimizes. So you need to state what that goal is. So is it leads? Is it conversions? Is it revenue? Is it profit? Those are going to have different effects on the data that you need and the AI that's built. So you got to nail that down.
Definitely. Another thing would be data, right? Data is the backbone of all statistical analysis and all AI systems. So you got to have some good amount of data, and we recommend at least 3 years worth of spend data across all the different marketing channels. It could be online, it could be offline, it could be paid media, anything, but you got to have at least 3 years worth of data in order to get meaningful insights and a stable model out. Yeah, so that's really important. Yeah, so another point would be analyzing the spends across at least 2 marketing channels, right? So if you want to optimize your marketing spends, you should invest in multiple channels. Only then this would be an optimization problem. Otherwise, it's simple. I think it's simple math, right? So don't need to do statistical analysis, but yeah, at least more than 2, I would say, marketing channel spends should be there. Another point would be to understand that market mix model gives you an idea at a higher level instead of granular level about how different marketing activities and marketing channels are impacting your dependent variable. Let's say we want to understand about MQLs, right? How my MQLs are coming from all the different channels, which channel is bringing me the highest MQL. So one way would be to look at all the different channels and seeing, you could have different paid media channels and their respective values, that this is a channel which is giving me these many MQLs. But if we want to see as a whole, right, how all these marketing channels are affecting my target variable. So market mix model gives you all this information at that level instead of a granular level. So this is very important point to understand here. And one last important point would be that the analysis has to be updated at regular intervals. This is because market dynamics are changing at a very fast pace. Customer behaviors are changing at a very fast pace. You have so many laws coming up now and there, which are affecting how these different marketing channels would be performing, would be behaving. Right? So you have to update this market mix analysis at regular intervals. So one good thing, David, was that earlier the client was moving the marketing money across different channels at a quarterly interval, right? But using this omni-channel analytics dashboard report and the market mix modeling, the client was able to move the money at a quicker pace. So better ROI was achieved because of this exercise. Instead of a quarterly interval, now the money was moved at a monthly interval, and in some channels it was even at a weekly interval. So updating the analysis at regular interval is really, really important.
Yeah, I mean, when I was running Aetna, we were trying to move. Different channels had different time frames, some of which were daily. We had daily stand-ups where we looked at information like this. Like for search, you can make changes in terms of your search budget on a constant basis. So speed matters, and staying on top of this, because it's not only how marketing channels are performing, the costs of different channels. So, what's the market rate for certain search terms, for certain social selects? Those change depending on supply and demand dynamics. A new competitor comes in, launches a new product. Politics could start raising the rates up across the board. So all kinds of dynamics are happening that you need to stay on top of this. So Lovish, this was terrific. I see just such obvious application to the kinds of challenges that marketers are facing. I know you guys also go do some other stuff in AI as well. I've seen some interesting stuff. Do you want to just quickly cite some of the other things you guys are doing?
Yeah, we at Grazitti are doing a lot of stuff using AI. So some of them are towards the predictive analytics side, where you have account-based marketing, B2B churn prediction, or recommender systems, which can be implemented. There are lots and lots of other analysis, but these are some of the really good ones which I felt that we should talk about here. So predicting, what is going to be a churn, because getting a customer onboarded is really costly compared to retaining a customer. So a really important or a really powerful analysis we are doing at Grazitti with respect to predictive. We also are exploring generative AI here, where we are using large language models such as ChatGPT, Llama 2, Falcon, open source models versus closed source models also, in order to achieve multiple things, such as creating multiple collaterals. These are different samples of collaterals. You have diffusion models which can create based on text to image type models. You can generate codes to audit. So one side would be helping the marketers. Another side would be helping the coders who are performing marketing analytics or enabling the marketers to make those decisions. So generating code using large language models for audit purposes, for optimization purposes. Cleaning the databases or combining different databases, different data sources into a single one. So that is one part of what we are doing at Grazitti. Machine learning based lead scoring, I think that's again a very, very important analysis which a marketer can use. So what should be the score which we should provide to any activity which is performed by different leads in order to move them to the next stage. So that's a really important or a powerful analysis there. Apart from this, there are lots of other things which are going on, but I'll maybe take a pause here, David.
Yeah, I mean, just looking across, as I was saying before, enhance, analyze, automate, optimize. You guys are doing stuff across the full board. Those are all areas where AI can make a difference. Feels like now, just given the time we have, we should open it up to Q&A. So let's do that. Lovish, if you want to just put the contact information up on the screen, just so people have it. For you guys, but let's open it up for Q&A. Okay, let's look at here we go, the questions coming in here. What are the most common challenges organizations face when implementing analytics for marketing, and how can these be overcome? I'll throw in a couple of things quickly, Lovish. I think one of the most common challenges is recognizing two things. One is that your data makes an absolute huge difference, and that data is going to be a fundamental asset that everyone in the organization needs to focus on. How are we keeping it clean? Where are we getting it from? Are we instrumented to be able to get the data? Having just a whole mindset around building and maintaining the data asset is absolutely key. The second is you're getting all this data to be able to make decisions. Well, you got to be able to make the decisions and act on it. There's process issues about speed. And I often talk about agile marketing. And so you've got to be able to have processes where, okay, if I decide I want to move money between channels, can I do that? What's my processes for doing that? Who's got the decision authority? Can we make those decisions and take advantage of the AI capabilities? So those are a couple just out of the gate. I don't know, Lovish, if there's others that you've encountered.
No, I think you have covered pretty much all of the scenarios. So I think, yeah, this is really nice. This sums it up, actually.
Yeah. So, Lovish, this one's probably more for you. How can you ensure better data security and compliance when using AI? People are nervous, understandably.
Yes, I think this is a really important challenge which AI systems, especially large language models, are facing. So if you go to the open source route versus the closed source route, so one would be, for example, ChatGPT, where you're sending your data to the system, and that is not something which we would like to have. You definitely would like to keep your data within your system. And another point or another option would be to use large language models, which are given to the open source community, which follow strict open source standards, that there is no data transfer happening. There is no data which is going out to any other server and is residing within the infrastructure which has been provided. So I think one way would be, if you want to ensure security and compliance, right, you have to provide restrictions in who can access the data, who can access the AI systems which are there, implemented there, and who can access all the infrastructure, basically checks at different levels. And second one would be, in my opinion, that you can deploy large language models which are open source in your infrastructure, right? And this is, of course, where Grazitti helps. And once they are deployed within your system, the data is residing in your system, not going out. All the infrastructure which the client would have, it's residing there. So I think security is taken care of. Compliance, I think, yeah, personally identifiable information, that has to be taken care of. And there are ways in which we can flag that, hey, some PII has come up in the system and it needs to be cleared. There has to be policies which would talk about policies about data retention, data deletion, that has to be implemented in your AI system as well. So that is, I mean, these are the ways which I can think of in which the security and the compliance can be taken care of.
And I believe, Lovish, you guys have done this even in areas like healthcare, where HIPAA restrictions are part of it. You've been able to manage through that.
Yes, we are HIPAA compliant, so we manage really strict security policies here. So we are very comfortable and able to do that. Yeah.
Yep. So how can AI-driven predictive analytics help in identifying new growth opportunities and market trends? So I'll give a couple of things there. One is actually looking through your own data of who is buying. You can analyze to find clusters of types of individuals based on data that you may not have realized are potential buyers. You may think you're catering to young people and you're finding that more seniors are actually buying it. And there's patterns, maybe there's geographic patterns, and that starts giving you the fodder for building lookalike models where you can find more people of that nature to market to. So the AI can find patterns of people. The other thing is that from an inside-out perspective. From an outside-in perspective, you can use natural language AI tools to, for example, analyze social media to see what kinds of things people are talking about. I mean, for years, we've always had like sentiment analysis, of people positive or negative about your brand, and those had mixed results. Now, though, we're actually using natural language processing to find keywords and topics and clusters of conversations on issues that are happening, also potentially tied to the kinds of people and where they're being talked about. So that's from an outside-in perspective. You can use these AI tools to spot where conversations are happening. I don't know, Lovish, if there's other ways you've worked with clients on this.
Yeah, you have pretty much covered it all, but I would just like to mention one thing. So new growth opportunities. This is where you have chances to build recommendation systems, right, which would recommend that this has worked in the past for these type of people. So you have segmentations, you have micro segments of customers who are looking for one specific thing, and then you can target those customers with something similar. So that additionally, I think, is a really important or powerful analysis which can be done and implemented in a client's environment for new growth opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, so then there's a question about data quality and data privacy, and how does that play in successful AI-powered analytics? I mean, I certainly saw the kind of capabilities you guys were bringing in data engineering to actually use AI to assess the quality of the data, spot data that needs to be worked on, either directly correct it itself or remove it. And there's just data quality management that you can use AI, because yes, you need to improve the data quality, but you got to be very deliberate in going after it. Data privacy is interesting because I think there's a question of what permissions do you have to actually use data for, and you have to make sure you have, for example, permission to use somebody's email for marketing as opposed to just customer service and notifications. So I think there are guardrails that privacy restricts you. The other thing about privacy is it can restrict your ability to buy and sell data and work with second parties, third parties in terms of moving around depending on where privacy lands. So for companies I've worked with, one of the key things is getting permissions, is making your customers feel as though they're going to get value out of the way you're using their data. So you got to show them experiences and the kinds of things you'd be able to do for them in order to get permissions. And some of the companies actually track percentage of permissions and trying to make sure when people opt out, trying to understand why are they opting out, what are the things we're doing. So both quality and privacy do have to be actively managed. Again, Lovish, are there other things you guys have done in this area?
No, you have pretty much summed it all. But data quality, I think for marketing analytics or any AI-powered analytics, data quality is the heart of, because data is the heart of any analytics system. So data quality has to be of utmost, the data has to be of utmost quality. And in case it is not, then you have to implement certain solutions there to do that. Yeah. So that's my take there.
Yeah. So let's just do one last question. And Lovish, I'll actually point this to you first. Can you share some best practices for personalizing marketing efforts using AI? Are there things you've already started doing with clients?
Yes. I think we briefly talked about this earlier. So one would be segmentation. The accurate, or if you are able to understand what are the patterns or the behaviors which person is or a group of persons are exhibiting. They are liking certain stuff, they are not liking certain stuff, or they are liking or doing certain activities at a given span of time, let's say between morning hours, between evening hours. If you are able to segment those customers, right, get more detailed, more granular segments out of those, that is one way where you can personalize or target those customers later from a marketing perspective, that a given person opens or does certain activity during this span of time. So let us personalize this information or this piece of marketing activity at that time only. So that would be one type of personalization. Second would be what actually is working. My one type of collateral or one type of creative actually worked versus other did not work, or a given channel worked and another channel did not work. So these type of information from the analytics, marketing analytics perspective can help in personalization. Another trend I think which you must have also observed is hyper personalization. Your notifications would have your name on top of it, and then would say, hey Lovish, would you like to buy this, or check out this is there. So that also is like a really nice touch of AI systems to understand what the person is liking, which thing the person likes click the most compared to maybe this way or that way. So that's how I think AI systems are helping in personalization, hyper personalization.
Yeah, and just to add one more quick thing, AI can also spot opportunities for timing. When is the right moment to actually reach out to someone because they're taking some action or there's a trigger? Well, It's time to wrap up. I think this was really enlightening. Lovish, I know I've actually learned from working with you guys a lot more about how to use AI for marketing analytics, how to prepare the data, how to render that in terms of making it usable, building models off of that. It's really powerful. And it's the kinds of things now as marketers face more and more complexity that they need to be able to make all of this data much more usable and simplified. So thank you very much. And on behalf of myself and the audience and Grazitti, I thank everyone on the call and look forward to hearing about successes people have using these tools.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, David. Thanks for your time.
Yep.